The next morning, the office felt different. Not because anything had physically changed, but because Bella had. There was a softness in her face now, a quiet glow, the fragile kind that comes from finally breathing after months of holding everything in. But peace never lasts long in a building full of ambition. By 9:45 a.m., Celine was already circling. Bella was at her desk, typing a report, when she heard the sharp click of heels approaching. That unmistakable rhythm Celine created intentionally, as if each step was announcing her superiority. Celine stopped right beside her desk and crossed her arms. Her perfume hit first, sharp, expensive, suffocating. "So," Celine said, her lips curving into a cold smile. "You're really settling in, aren't you?" Bella didn't look up. "Good morning," she replied calmly. "Oh, skip that," Celine snapped softly. "Tell me, why does Mr. Adrian suddenly care so much about you?" "Bella frase." Celine leaned closer, lowering her voice. "I've worked here for 5 years. 5. I've never seen him defend a staff like that. Never." Bella kept her face neutral. "Maybe because what you did yesterday was wrong." Celine's smile widened. A smile with no warmth, only venom. "You think this is about the files? Sweetheart, I know men, and I know when a man is interested." Bella's heart raced painfully. She prayed Celine couldn't hear it. Before she could respond, Celine added, "Careful, little one. Women like you don't survive long in this office." Then she walked away, her heels slicing through the silence. Bella exhaled shankily. But someone had heard the entire conversation. From the corridor, Adrian stood partially hidden near the glass partition. His jaw clenched so tightly a vein pulsed along his temple. He hadn't meant to eavesdrop. He'd just been on his way to call Bella in for a briefing. But when he saw Celine leaning over her, his instinct made him pause. And now he was furious. Not loud, explosive anger, but the dangerous kind. The cold, controlled, quiet storm that made everyone in the company nervous. He walked straight to Celine's office. She looked up with a flirtatious smile when he entered. "Adrian, I was just about to. We need to talk," he said, his voice low and sharp. The room instantly felt colder. Celine swallowed. "Oh, okay." Adrian stepped closer, eyes locked on hers. "Stay away from Bella." Celine blinked, stunned. "What did she tell you?" "Nothing," he replied firmly. "I heard you." Her mouth fell slightly open, embarrassment streaking across her face. "It was just intimidation," Adrian cut in. "And it ends today." Celine felt her confidence fracture. "Adrian, I didn't mean anything. I'm restructuring team assignments," he announced. "You'll no longer be supervising her reports. And if I see you approach her again with any form of harassment, you're done here." Her heart dropped. She had never seen him like this. Not with her. Not with anyone. "But Adrian, it's Mr. Hart at work," he said coldly. "And this conversation is over." He walked out without looking back. Celine's nails dug into her desk, rage simmering beneath her skin. She wasn't going to let Bella win. Not a chance. Meanwhile, Bella sat alone in the ladies' restroom, gripping the edges of the sink. Her emotions were too tangled: fear, relief, confusion, and something warm she didn't want to name yet. She splashed cool water on her face. As she looked up at her reflection, she whispered, "Why is everything happening at once?" She was carrying a child. She was falling for her boss. Celine hated her. Office gossip was growing. And feelings, complicated, dangerous feelings, were blossoming too fast, too intense. Then the door opened. Adrian stepped in. The wrong door. The women's restroom. And he didn't even care. "Bella," he said, his voice shaking slightly, "we need to talk." Her breath caught. He took 2 steps toward her. "I'm not letting anyone treat you badly again," he said, eyes locked on hers. "Not Celine. Not anyone in this office. If you ever feel unsafe or overwhelmed, you come to me." Her chest tightened. "Why are you doing all this?" He stopped right in front of her. His voice dropped to a whisper. Because I can't stand seeing you hurt. The air shifted thick, charged, trembling. He lifted a hand slowly, gently brushing away a tear she didn't realize had formed. Bella, he said softly, I don't know what this is between us yet, but I know I feel it, and I know you feel it too. Her heart trembled, and just like that, the world outside the restroom disappeared. It was just them, breathing the same air, sharing the same unspoken confession. For the rest of the day, Bella couldn't focus. Her hands kept shaking. Her thoughts kept returning to the restroom, to Adrian's voice, to the way he looked at her, like she was the only person in the building who mattered. She didn't know what scared her more, the intensity of his feelings, or the intensity of hers. By 3 p.m., the office had settled into quiet afternoon productivity. People typed, printers hummed, phones rang occasionally, the usual rhythm. But beneath that calm, a storm was brewing, because Celine never lost quietly, and she never forgave easily. It started in whispers. 2 interns stood by the water dispenser, giggling while pretending to discuss a project. I heard they have something going on, one whispered. Who? Mr. Hart and that new girl, Bella. The second intern gasped. What? Already? Someone said they saw him follow her into the restroom. Bella's heart dropped as she passed by them, their eyes instantly darting away. Her stomach twisted. Exactly what she feared was beginning. Inside his office, Adrian reviewed documents, but his mind wasn't on the numbers. It was on her, on the tremble in her voice, on the pain she'd been carrying alone, on the way she leaned into his touch without realizing. And now, the rumors. He heard them too. He felt anger simmer in his chest. Not because they involved him, but because they could hurt her. He needed to protect her. But every instinct to protect her was also pulling him closer to crossing lines he wasn't supposed to cross. He stood up. He needed to check on her. Celine watched everything from her glass office. She saw the interns whispering. She saw Bella's face pale. She saw Adrian tense. And she smiled. Not sweetly, but with the sharpness of a blade. She picked up her phone and dialed one of the senior HR officers. Hi, Miriam, Celine said in a falsely cheerful tone. I think you should be aware of something. Concerning a junior staff and Mr. Hart. She didn't give details. She didn't need to. Just planting the seed was enough. She ended the call with a satisfied exhale. Let's see how long your little fairy tale lasts. Bella? She murmured. Bella sat at her desk, fingers frozen over the keyboard. Her chest felt tight. She struggled to breathe normally. She didn't want trouble. She didn't want attention. And she definitely didn't want anyone thinking she slept her way into anything. She was already pregnant, already scared, already trying to survive the emotional storm of her life. A scandal was the last thing she needed. She placed a hand on her stomach unconsciously. Not now, she whispered. A few seconds later, a shadow fell across her desk. She looked up. Adrian stood there, worry etched in every line of his face. Can we talk? He asked softly. She swallowed. People are already whispering. I know. He lowered his voice. That's why we're talking. She stood up slowly and followed him out. But instead of heading to his office, he led her to the private conference room. The one with tinted glass. The one no one used unless something serious was happening. He closed the door behind them. The room was dim and quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you hear your own heartbeat too loudly. Bella stood by the table, arms wrapped around herself. Adrian approached her slowly, like he didn't want to startle her. Bella, he said gently. I won't let them tear you apart with gossip. Her voice cracked. You can't stop them. I can protect you. How? She whispered. By making it worse? By giving them more reason to talk. He paused because she was right. His presence alone made the rumors stronger. She looked up at him, eyes shimmering with pain. Adrian, I can't survive another humiliation. His chest tightened painfully at her words. He stepped closer. Tell me what you need, he said. Tell me how to make this easier for you. Bella shook her head, tears forming. I don't know. I don't know what to do. He instinctively reached for her, then stopped midair. He didn't want to cross a line she wasn't ready for. But she closed the distance herself, her forehead resting lightly against his chest. He froze, then exhaled shakily. He lifted a hand and placed it gently on the back of her head. "Bella," he whispered into her hair. "You're not alone anymore." Her breath hitched, a tiny sound that broke him completely. His other hand moved to her waist without thinking, drawing her closer, feeling the tremble of her body. She pressed into him, needing the warmth, needing the stability of his presence. For a long moment, they just held each other, breathing the same air, holding onto the same fragile truth. Then Adrian whispered, voice raw, "I don't care what the rumors are. I care about you." Bella looked up, eyes glistening. "But what if this ruins you?" she asked softly. He cupped her cheek, thumb brushing a tear away. "Then let it ruin me," he whispered. "I'm not losing you." Her heart stumbled, and in the quiet of that room, walls tinted, air heavy, emotions overflowing, their faces drifted closer, too close, close enough to feel each other's breath, close enough that one more second would shatter every boundary left between them. Bella's heart was still racing from the confrontation earlier that morning, but the office had a strange way of forcing her back into routine. She moved quietly through the hallways, careful to avoid Celine's sharp gaze, which seemed to linger on her even when she wasn't looking. Every step felt heavy, like walking through water, but she couldn't afford to show weakness. Not now. Just as she settled at her desk, a sudden ping from her laptop startled her. An email. No sender name, just a subject line. "Meet me. Now." Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, a mix of curiosity and dread tightening in her chest. Against her better judgment, she clicked it open. The message was brief. "Behind the old storage room. Alone. Don't be followed." Bella's pulse quickened. This was dangerous, she knew it. Every instinct screamed to ignore it, to stay in the crowded office where she had some semblance of safety. Yet something, perhaps the hope she had felt moments ago, perhaps the gnawing need for answers, pushed her forward. By the time she reached the storage room, the hallway was empty. Shadows stretched across the walls like fingers, and the faint hum of the air conditioning was the only sound. She paused, taking a deep breath. "Who's there?" she called softly, but the only response was silence. Then, from the darkness, a figure stepped forward. The dim light revealed a familiar face, one she hadn't expected to see for months. It was Michael, his expression unreadable but urgent. "Bella," he said, his voice low. "We don't have much time. Celine knows about the file, and she's not going to wait. You need to trust me." Her hands shook slightly, but she nodded. "What do we do?" Michael reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small, metallic device. "This is the key. If we move fast, we can secure the proof before she destroys everything. But once we step outside this room, there's no turning back." Bella's breath caught. She realized that, somehow, the chaos of the office, the schemes, and the uncertainty had been building to this moment. Every decision she made now would matter, not just for her, but for everyone who had been hurt along the way. And for the first time in a long while, fear and hope collided into something sharp and electric. She nodded firmly, gripping the edge of the storage shelf. "Let's finish this," she said. The air outside the storage room felt heavier, charged, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Bella followed Michael silently, every step measured, every glance over her shoulder a reminder that Celine could be anywhere. They reached the office's back exit, a narrow door that led to the alley behind the building. Michael paused, checking over his shoulder before pushing it open. The cool evening air hit Bella's face, a brief relief from the tension inside. But relief was fleeting. "Celine has eyes everywhere," Michael whispered. "If she suspects anything, she'll move first. We have maybe 10 minutes before she locks down the system completely." Bella swallowed hard but nodded. She tried to steady her racing thoughts. Every memory of Celine's manipulations, every subtle threat, surged forward. This was it, the moment to reclaim control. They ducked into the shadow of the alley, moving swiftly toward the side entrance of the data center where the crucial file was stored. Michael handed her a small device, an access key disguised as a USB stick. Once we're inside, plug this in, he instructed. It bypasses the main security. But don't get distracted. Celine will try to stop us. Bella's hands shook slightly as she took the device, but she forced herself to focus. She had trained for this moment in quiet imagination, running through every scenario, every escape route. Now it was real. The door to the data center loomed ahead. As they approached, footsteps echoed from the far end of the alley. Bella froze. Michael pressed a finger to his lips and gestured for her to stay silent. Through the dim light, Celine's figure emerged, her heels clicking sharply against the pavement. She stopped, sensing something off, her eyes narrowing. "Bella," she called, her voice sweet but venomous. "I know you're up to something." Bella's heart pounded, but she stood tall. "I'm done running, Celine," she said firmly. "This ends tonight." Celine smirked, a dangerous glint in her eyes. "We'll see about that." Before Bella could react, Celine reached for her phone, likely to alert security. But Michael was faster. With a sudden movement, he blocked Celine's path and shoved her back, just as Bella slipped past, and inserted the device into the terminal. Lights flickered. Screens blinked. The file was opening. And then the room was filled with the sound of alarms. Celine had triggered a silent countermeasure. "Go!" Michael shouted. "I've got her." Bella's fingers flew across the keyboard, downloading the file as fast as possible. Every second felt stretched to infinity. Behind her, she could hear Celine's furious voice, shouting, threatening, trying to regain control. Finally, with a victorious beep, the download completed. Bella yanked the device free, and she and Michael bolted toward the back exit. Sirens wailed in the distance, a warning that the office guards had been alerted. Breathless, heart racing, Bella realized something. For the first time in months, she had taken the upper hand. But she also knew this wasn't over. Celine would come for her. And next time, the game would be deadlier. The city lights blurred past as Bella and Michael sped through narrow streets, the stolen file secure in her bag. Each passing minute made her pulse pound faster. Not from the chase, but from the knowledge that Celine wouldn't let this go. She was clever, ruthless, and now she was angry. They finally ducked into an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. The place smelled of dust and rust, but it offered temporary safety. Michael dropped onto a crate, rubbing his temples. "That was too close," he muttered. "She almost had us." Bella sank beside him, breathing hard. "We did it, though. We got the file." "Yes," Michael said, nodding. "But Celine will retaliate. She always does. And this time, she won't just play with threats. She'll try to destroy everything and everyone in her way." Bella's mind raced. The weight of the file in her bag felt heavier now, not because of its physical presence, but because of the consequences it carried. Every decision from here on out mattered. "What's in it exactly?" she asked, her voice tense. Michael looked at her, eyes sharp. "Enough to ruin her. Financial fraud, manipulation of company decisions, even evidence of bribery. It's everything we need to expose her, but only if we play smart. If she finds out we have it, she'll come after us personally." Bella's stomach churned. She had thought the hardest part was getting the file, but now she realized the true danger was just beginning. A sudden noise made them both freeze, a soft scraping sound near the warehouse door. Shadows shifted, and Bella felt her heart skip a beat. "Celine," Michael whispered. "She followed us." The door creaked open, and in stepped Celine, calm but menacing. Her eyes locked onto Bella's. "You think you can outrun me?" she said softly. "You've taken my secrets. Now I'm going to take everything from you." Bella swallowed her fear and stepped forward, holding the bag tightly. "You can try," she said, her voice steady. "But this ends tonight. Your schemes, your lies, they stop here." Celine laughed, a sound that was both cold and mocking. "Bold. I like that. But courage alone won't save you." Before anyone could react, Celine snapped her fingers, and the warehouse lights went out. Shadows swallowed the space, leaving only the sound of footsteps echoing in the darkness. Bella gripped the bag tighter, realizing that the battle had now shifted from strategy to survival. This wasn't just about exposing Celine anymore. It was about escaping her. And for the first time, Bella understood the true cost of hope, and the strength it took to hold on to it. The darkness of the warehouse pressed down on Bella like a living thing. Every shadow seemed to twitch with Celine's presence, and every creak of the floor made her heart lurch. She could feel Leo close by, tense, ready to act, but the space between them and Celine felt impossibly vast. "Come out!" Bella called into the blackness, trying to mask the tremor in her voice. "It's over, Celine," a soft laugh replied, echoing off the walls. "Over? Oh, my dear Bella. This is only the beginning." A sudden movement caught Bella's eye, Celine stepping from behind a stack of crates, her silhouette sharp against the faint moonlight spilling through the windows. Her smile was calm, dangerous. Michael moved instinctively in front of Bella. "We need a plan," he hissed. "She's setting a trap." Bella's mind raced. They had the file, but their position was compromised. Every escape route was blocked. And yet, she remembered the small details Celine had overlooked. The old ventilation shafts running through the warehouse. "I have an idea," Bella whispered. "Cover me." Before Michael could respond, she dashed toward the far wall, Celine following instantly. Shadows danced like predators as the two women moved, each step a dangerous game of cat and mouse. Celine lunged suddenly, but Bella ducked and rolled toward the ventilation shaft. She yanked open the grate and crawled inside, dragging the bag of evidence with her. "Bella!" Michael shouted. "I'm coming!" she called back, adrenaline giving her wings. Inside the narrow shaft, darkness surrounded her, every scrape of metal a jolt of fear. Celine's footsteps echoed just below, her rage palpable. "You can run, but you can't hide," Celine's voice taunted. Bella clenched her jaw, crawling faster. The weight of the file pressed against her, but it was also her lifeline. If she made it out, she could finally expose Celine and ensure the months of torment ended. Finally, a faint light appeared at the end of the shaft. She pushed forward, emerging into a small service corridor that led to the street outside. Breathing hard, she looked back, but the vent cover had slipped closed just as Celine reached it, trapping her inside for now. Michael was there, holding the door open. "Go! We have what we need. Get out of here." Together, they sprinted into the night, the city stretching ahead like a promise. Behind them, Celine's furious shouts faded into the distance. For the first time in months, Bella allowed herself a small, victorious smile. They had escaped this round, at least. But she knew the war with Celine was far from over. And deep down, she felt a surge of something she hadn't dared feel in a long time. Hope. Bella and Michael sat in a dimly lit safe house, the stolen file laid out on a table between them. The hum of the city outside was distant, almost peaceful, deceptively so. "We can't release this yet," Michael said, rubbing his eyes. "Celine will try to discredit us immediately. We need a strategy." Bella nodded, her mind racing. "We need allies. Someone who can make sure the evidence reaches the right hands. The authorities, journalists, people who can't be bought." They spent the night making calls, drafting secure messages, and planning. By dawn, the file had been sent to multiple trusted contacts. It was irreversible. Celine's empire of lies would crumble. Yet, a nagging fear lingered. Celine wasn't defeated, just delayed. Bella could feel it, like a storm waiting to strike. Celine's fury was unstoppable. By midday, the first of her counterattacks began. The company's security systems flagged the safe house. Anonymous threats were sent to Bella's personal contacts. Michael intercepted most, but the psychological warfare was effective. "You think you've won?" Celine's voice echoed through a call they managed to trace. "You've made a mistake." Bella didn't flinch. "I didn't make a mistake. You did." The confrontation only hardened her resolve. She realized Celine's power came from fear, but Bella no longer felt afraid. With the evidence securely in the hands of authorities and trusted journalists, the next few days were a whirlwind. Headlines exposed Celine's corruption, her manipulation of colleagues, and her financial crimes. Publicly, she smiled for the cameras, but privately, she raged. Her schemes unraveled faster than she could contain them. Meanwhile, Bella and Michael worked tirelessly to protect themselves, moving locations, staying vigilant. Despite the chaos, Bella felt an unfamiliar calm. Justice was coming not in an instant but inevitably. Weeks later, the company board held an emergency meeting. Celine was suspended pending investigation, and legal actions were underway. For the first time, she experienced the helplessness she had inflicted on others. Bella, watching from a safe distance, allowed herself a quiet smile. It wasn't vengeance, it was balance. The world could be cruel, but she had taken control of her story. Months passed. Bella returned to the office, but it was no longer the same place of tension and fear. Celine was gone, and while some colleagues remained skeptical, most treated her with newfound respect. Michael stayed by her side, not just as an ally but as a friend she could trust completely. Together, they rebuilt the system Celine had tried to destroy and helped colleagues recover from the manipulation. Bella often reflected on the chaos of those months. The fear, the adrenaline, the near-constant danger. And yet, she realized she had grown stronger, smarter, more unshakable. One evening, watching the city lights from her apartment window, Bella felt a sense of peace she hadn't known in a long time. For the first time, she wasn't just surviving. She was living, and somewhere deep inside, she knew no one, not even Celine, could take that away from her again. Thank you for watching the final episode. I'll see you in the next story.